I'm just here for the beer. I don't mean to be rude, but I ain't here for the food. And I don't mean to be crass, but I'm staring at an empty glass. And I'm just here. I'm just here. I'm just here for the beer.
You are indeed welcome to Canada's only dedicated beer radio show, Just Here for the Beer Radio. You can watch us live as we video stream, AM650radio.com. Just click on the watch banner, and you can see the festivities as well. We're also podcast on AM650radio.com. It's Joe Larry along with Rick Mohibeer. Welcome back. Nice to see you again.
How you doing?
I'm good for a November day, and of course we have the festive season. Not that, well, I guess technically it is the beginning of Christmas right now, isn't it?
We're getting pretty darn close.
Do you find in your line of work that it is a good beer consumption time, Christmas?
It is an awesome time. Everybody's bringing out some seasonals, so you know what? If you're not into the traditional Christmas seasonals, there's guys that are coming out with some really new and unique stuff.
We've got some great stuff on this show. We'll introduce you to Big Surf Beer, also something new and exciting from Innocent Gun as well. We'll talk about Bravo and their portfolio of fine Belgian beers, and we'll learn our Brewer of the Month, as well as a new product from the Caribou Brewing Company. We turn our attentions to our friend Aaron Anderson. It's been a while since we've seen Aaron. Aaron is the territory manager for Lighthouse Brewing, lighthousebrewing.com. The website at Lighthouse Beer is the Twitter handle. Good to see you. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for the invite, guys.
Absolutely. Nice. And what's been new? I mean, we probably haven't talked to you for about a year, so I'm going to guess there's been a few things new on the Lighthouse agenda.
There has been a ton. Since last time we saw each other, we've come out with our Switchback IPA. We've got our Tasman Ale. We came out with a dark chocolate porter, and now recently we have our Uncharted Belgian IPA.
Now that's quite an introduction of product line. So basically, where did this come from? I mean, are you soliciting feedback, or do you just have a very experimental brewmaster that's in that white lab coat and creating all these
It's the
weird
brewmaster,
concoctions?
absolutely. We've had this new brewmaster, Dean McLeod, now for the last 2 years, and he's a magician. Everything he comes out with these days has just been gold, and it just gets better and better.
Now, I know you're not an IPA fan.
Generally, no.
Not generally. The Switchback IPA, like I've been teaching the class up at UBC, for the last couple of weeks, and Aaron has been kind enough to help me out with some product. But I'm telling you, the feedback that we have got on the Switchback and on the Tasman has just been unbelievable. Unbelievable.
I hear the talk. I don't hear the pour.
Let's do the Switchback.
Yeah, and I'm sure my friend will help us out here. Now, the Switchback IPA, one of the things I love about this, and you know what, here in British Columbia, we're lucky that we've got a huge amount of hops that we have access to,
yes.
And everybody is bringing something new to the table when it comes to hops.
Well, you and I have had this discussion before, and you know I'm a little hop shy, and I'm just not really a big fan of something particularly hoppy. But again, there are probably different levels of hops introduced into certain products. Generally, do you find hops, it's love or hate?
Absolutely. But the love is growing. Our IPA here has an IBU of 80, which is somewhat high. It's not overly high, but it's high enough that you know there's hops in it. There's 10 different hops in this baby, so it's got a lot of different layers.
So now, what are you tasting here, Joe? You just took a sip of this. I know it's very hoppy, but what are you tasting?
I'm tasting a lot of hop. But here's the thing. There, to me, and again, I was surprised to learn, I think on our last show, I didn't realize that hops are like grapes. There's good crops of hops.
Yes.
There's bad crops of hops.
Totally.
I didn't know that. I thought basically hops was like one generic type of physical element, and you literally dumped it in. I actually find the aftertaste on this is rather pleasant.
Yeah, it's well balanced,
Yeah.
right? It's not just about burning your mouth with that overly hop beer.
Right.
It's still balanced. It tastes like beer. The initial flavor you're going to notice is a very pine kind of citrusy flavor that comes from our whole leaf citra, meaning that the hop itself is in the whole leaf form, where some other hops are pelletized, almost like like hamster food.
It's processed.
Yeah. So one of the stages of the hops is a whole leaf hop, which is logistically difficult, but it's a passion.
Our guest is Aaron Anderson, Territory Manager of Lighthouse Brewing, lighthousbrewing.com, the website at Lighthouse Beer. So you've introduced quite a few in I guess, the year or so since we last talked. How do you find that you get the word out? I mean, are people Are people adventurous? Do you need to sort of be at a tasting, or are people just automatically sampling on their own when they walk into a beer store?
It is a little bit of everything. Definitely the tastings are one way to go, the events, of course. But, you know, you've got a lot of eager people out there nowadays who want to try everybody's new beer, get it out on their blogs and let people know their opinion, and that is working phenomenally.
And that's where we were talking about, you know, social media has been just phenomenal in terms of marketing, not just for the beer industry, but for most industries as a whole. But I found with the beer industry is they've actually jumped on it and are really starting to use it. And I think one of the important things, and you can attest to this, Aaron, is the instant feedback that you get from customers. Whereas before, you know, you had to have a tasting group and everybody was taking notes, and then you'd have to take those notes, amalgamate them, and then you were getting your feedback. Whereas this is almost instant, and it's from a huge demographic, a very wide portfolio of people.
Absolutely.
Do you find, again, talking about the social networking universe, and I've been very vocal. My cell phone carrier, I've had an ongoing feud with them on Twitter, because if I'm away somewhere and I'm trying to get airtime, and for whatever reason the airtime package isn't to my liking, I get very vocal with them, and they respond immediately. The problem I find with social networking is that the minute you allow yourself the opportunity to let customers give feedback, they're giving it to you. Someone are going to rip you a new one if they don't like something. How vocal are people when it comes to the beer community? And how active are the brewmasters and people such as yourself in trying to, you know, sort of take that feedback and filter it?
Well, I mean, people got a lot to say, and they're not shy.
Good and bad.
Yeah, good and bad, and they're not shy to say what they want. I will say that since the last year, our social media has been over 90% positive. You can't make everybody happy. There's always somebody with something to say. So I guess the way we would look at it is we need to see that balance shifting. So if the balance shifts from positive to negative, we have to take that into consideration. But if it's just one guy and there's 10, 15 positive messages behind him, I mean, we can't listen to that one guy.
Aaron, in the roughly, say, year or so since we last had you on the show, the amount of product that's out there is just mind-blowing.
It's blowing up, yeah.
And I can't see any end to this. I mean, there's just more and more and more stuff coming out all the time. Does it surpass anybody's expectations in the beer world, just how much product is out there? And we're just talking like the BC stuff.
I believe it has. I mean, it really has blown up, like you've just said, and we know there's more coming down the pipeline next year. So it's just going to get bigger and bigger from all of us.
So do you guys have stuff right now on your drawing boards that you're, because I mean, you know, in the competitive beer world, I mean, you want to be able to, if not stay relevant, you want to be able to maybe perhaps stay a step ahead.
We've got a lot of stuff down the pipeline. Wait till you see our Christmas beer.
Really?
Oh,
he's teasing us.
I think he's throwing it down.
I was asking Rick earlier, let's talk about Christmas. I mean, obviously it's just, you know, a few weeks away. Do you find that's a good time to sell beer?
Yes, of course, absolutely. I mean, you know, it's family, everyone's getting together, and people are getting really enthusiastic about beer, and they like to share their enthusiasm with people. So people love showing off their newfound favorite. So, you know, you get all your family members together, and you want to be like, you got to try this, check this out. So it is a good time to be launching a new product, of course.
I think one of the interesting things is seasonally, and not just the Christmas season, but seasonally throughout the year. I think the 650 ml bottles has really stepped it up in terms of that ability to share with family members and maybe the beer novice who is not necessarily into craft beer, but this is just a nice step to be able to pull them sort of into that world and to be able to say, hey, you know what? If you don't want to go buy a six-pack, come share one of these with me.
Of course.
The funny thing is that, you know, when you look at, like, for example, that dark chocolate porter, which I'm eyeing, which, by the way, I will be having in I'll be having in my fridge in about an hour's time. But, you know, when you think back to, you know, 10, 15, 20 years ago, if somebody saw that and went, what? Chocolate taste in beer? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And now, I mean, there's virtually no flavor that isn't introduced in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, it seems that way, absolutely. And people keep pushing the boundaries for sure. This chocolate beer here is a hit. I have not found a woman yet who doesn't like it.
Yeah.
You're on a first date, bring this beer.
And again, you know, Joe and I, you and I were talking about this earlier, right? Like our UBC class, right? Right now, we've got a 60-40 split where traditionally it's been the 80-20, 75-25. And we're
predominantly
finding,
male.
Exactly,
Yeah.
predominantly male. But now we're finding the brewers and companies are starting to look at the female demographic and saying, hey, like, this is untouched, uncharted. And even when we do our events, it's an opportunity for, people to bring something new. And we always hear this, oh, I don't like beer. And I'm like, you know what? You just haven't tried the right one yet.
If you can't find something in the beer family you like now, something seriously wrong. LighthouseBrewing.com is the website. At Lighthouse Beer is the Twitter handle. Aaron Anderson, the territory manager. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you very much, guys.
I'm just here for the beer.